If you have a really deep connection with someone and you know that you're both mutually invested, then keep investing. If you're both willing to meet each other halfway, you both want to understand each other's needs, you both want to be there for each other no matter what, then keep investing in that relationship. Don't run away from the relationship because of the triggers, because of the conflict. Work on those things. If you walk away from that relationship and you still find yourself drawn back to that individual, and that is mutual between you both, then you should not be running away from that connection. You should be investing in that connection. There's a reason why you're drawn to that person, and if they're drawn to you, that should be evidence enough to you that it's worth fighting for. As long as you can communicate with each other and you can resolve conflict, then you're on the right path. Stick with it. Try to bring as much awareness into the relationship as possible, and the only way that that is achieved is through clear, honest communication. Be authentic. Be yourself. Stop trying to control each other. So let them be themselves and you be yourself, and express openness, compassion. Listen to what they are saying. Listen to their needs. Now, sometimes people lash out. You need to understand what's the underlying issue. What is the need that they're trying to express? Another thing, when someone is upset, expressing a need, and maybe lashing out a little bit, it's very important for you to stay grounded and hold space for them to express themselves. Because if you can make your partner feel safe when they express themselves, and you don't take what they're saying personally, but just understand that they're trying to express a need. Not everybody is able to communicate their needs very clearly, and sometimes they lash out. But if you just hold space for them, then they will gain more confidence and they'll feel more safe about being honest and expressive with you. And they won't be so anxious about speaking to you. So they will just be able to speak normally without feeling like they're trying to avoid conflict, which creates conflict when you try to avoid conflict. It's important to hit things head on and be completely honest in the relationship. But the main thing is, if there's true love in the connection, if there's a real connection there, understand that depth of love and that depth of connection is going to bring up triggers from both of your past, because we all have childhood trauma. We all have trauma from the past, and in those deeper connections, that is going to get triggered. So you have to be able to work together and be there for each other and not be offended by each other, because you have to hold space for the other. When someone else is upset with you, it's nothing to do with you. It's all their perception, their trauma, their inner child wounding. And if you can hold space for them, then that will help them to feel safe, to be able to heal that trauma. And they should do that for you as well. But you need to release control. You need to allow each other to be your imperfect selves in the moment, and to learn to love each other despite all the flaws. There's too much talk about running and walking away from someone when things aren't working out. Relationships always have challenges. If you really love someone, then you'll stick there with them and you'll work through it. Now, if it's a really toxic situation, then that's a different matter. But what I'm talking about, where there's true love and there's equal investment and both people are willing to do the work, that's when you should keep investing. If the other person is stuck in lower belief systems, lower ego mindsets, then eventually you're going to have to let them go. But in most cases where you know that this is a real connection, you don't run away from that. No. You have to trust each other. You have to learn to trust. You have to build the trust. And the only way you can build the trust is sticking together and being there for each other and communicating. You have to get out of the negative beliefs. You have to allow them to be themselves. You have to trust them. You have to loosen the reins so that they can prove their trustworthiness to you. Because if you're trying to control the situation all the time, you'll push them away. And vice versa, they'll push you away if they're trying to control you. What you fear, you bring about. Remember that. And fear is repulsive in a relationship. So the more you try to control, the more you worry about what the other person is doing and about how they're behaving, the more you're going to push them away. So you have to allow them to be themselves and hold space. Now, as a masculine, it's the masculine's job to make the feminine feel safe and secure. So the masculine, you have to lead with this. You have to be like Jesus, turn the other cheek, because you need to be the groundedness. You need to have this. You need to bring the structure into the relationship. That means that you need to do everything, and your focus should be to make the feminine feel safe and secure, especially when she's expressing herself. It doesn't matter about her communication style. You have to be there and listen to her and not take what she's saying personally, because she's expressing a feeling. It doesn't matter how it sounds. She is expressing a feeling, and you have to be there for her. And then in time, the communication style will improve, especially when she feels safer and more secure in the connection. And a lot of her feelings about the connection are nothing to do with you, but they're part of past trauma that's been triggered to the surface because of her deep investment in the relationship with you. It is bringing out all those triggers, because the more someone is invested in a relationship, the more anxious a person could be, because they fear losing it, or they fear that it's not what they thought it was. People have doubts, insecurities. So you have to understand that all these triggers are going to come up. So it's about allowing each other to be and appreciating each other as we are right now, with all our flaws, and learning to love unconditionally. And then you create peace and harmony over time in the connection. And don't be so hard on yourselves just because you have conflict. As long as you're willing to meet each other halfway every time and communicate and resolve the conflict, then you're on the right path. Just keep going. Don't give up. There's no such thing as a relationship without conflict, especially when you're starting out. You have to loosen the reins up a little bit. Everything is okay. You can do this. It's all about unconditional love. That's what we're learning here in these deeper connections.